Nothing terrifies the enemy more than a mind that finally realizes, I wasn't imagining it, I was being guided the whole time. My dear chosen one, that realization alone makes the enemy choke. Because the moment you stop calling your patterns coincidences and start calling them messages, the game changes. The title you clicked didn't show up by accident. In idiomatic terms, the writings on the wall. Chosen one, the writings on the wall, don't you dare give up on that person. And if you're here, locked in with these words, it's because your story with that person isn't finished, no matter how much the enemy wants you to believe it is. Let's hit them hard with the truth they hoped you'd never see. When one specific person keeps slipping back into your mind again and again through memories, dreams, random thoughts and small triggers that isn't your imagination running wild, that's alignment knocking on your awareness. Think of your attention like a laser. It doesn't stay locked on something unless there's a reason. Your brain filters almost everything out during the day. Sounds, faces, moments, details. Yet somehow this one person keeps making it through the filter over and over at the most random times. That isn't weakness. That's your system raising a red flag and whispering, don't look away yet. And I know what's already spinning in your mind right now. What if I'm just overthinking? What if I'm just attached? What if I'm stuck in the past? That's exactly the chorus the enemy wants echoing in your head. Because if they can convince you you're crazy, they can convince you to walk away from something that still carries purpose. So let me answer you directly, chosen one. No, you're not crazy. No, you're not obsessed. No, you're not weak. What you are is tuned in. You are noticing what others would rather numb out. You are feeling what others deny. You are aware of a thread in your story that refuses to snap, no matter how hard life pulled on it. Picture a compass. It doesn't spin just for the drama. It moves because there is a direction, a pull, a true north. That's what this person represents in your energy, a point your inner compass keeps swiveling back toward. You've tried to distract yourself. You've tried to force your focus forward. You've told yourself, it's done, it's over, I'm moving on. And yet, at 2 a.m. or mid-song or in the middle of a random scroll, there they are, in your chest again. Not because you went looking, but because something in your path is still tied to them. The enemy hates that you're even hearing this right now, because this message doesn't pamper you, it exposes what's real. If this connection were truly meaningless, its weight would have faded by now. The memories wouldn't sting, the signs wouldn't stack. You wouldn't feel that strange ache when you imagine never speaking to them again. That ache is not desperation, it's information. It's your inner world saying, if you slam this door shut, you'll feel the echo for years. Before we continue, chosen one, take a moment to support the very message that's speaking directly to your spirit right now. If this content is helping you see what others overlook, if it's unlocking clarity, strength, or alignment inside you, then show love back by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support isn't just a click, it fuels the mission. It keeps this energy alive, and it allows us to continue creating powerful, transformational content that reaches people who genuinely need it. When you engage, you help spread awareness, impact lives, and keep this movement growing. Stay aligned, support the message. My dear chosen ones, understand this. Real connections don't always end with a neat goodbye. Sometimes they pause, they go quiet, they step into the background while life rearranges itself. But the energetic thread, it stays. That's why you feel them in your dreams. That's why their name hits different in a sentence. That's why you can stand in a crowded room and still feel like a part of you is in an unfinished conversation with them. That's emotional gravity. Humans underestimate it all the time, but the enemy doesn't. That's why they target it. You're not listening to this just to be comforted. This is your wake-up call. This is the moment where you stop gaslighting your own intuition. Every time you tried to move on, something tugged you back. Every time you tried to rewrite the story as just a phase, reality slipped in a reminder you didn't ask for. A song, a memory, a message, a dream that isn't emotional inconsistency. That's alignment refusing to be dismissed. And yes, the questions are loud. What if they've moved on? What if I'm the only one feeling this? What if I'm setting myself up to get hurt again? Hear me clearly, chosen one. This is not about chasing a person or forcing a relationship. This is about not betraying the message inside you. There's something you're meant to learn, face, or resolve through this connection. It might be growth. It might be healing. It might be closure. It might be a return, but it is not nothing. You don't feel nothing this deeply. Right now, you're standing at a turning point. Your choice from here doesn't just affect your feelings, it affects your path. If you walk away out of fear, you'll still carry the weight. If you walk forward with awareness, you give the story a chance to reveal the chapter you haven't read yet. That's why the enemy is panicking. They'd rather see you numb, distracted, scrolling past your own destiny than awake, asking the hard questions and staying present with your truth. And chosen one, before we go deeper, take a second and honor the fact that you're even here. That alone proves you're not like everyone else. Most people feel the pull and run. You felt the pull and pressed play. If this is hitting your spirit, pay the energy back. Tap the like button, subscribe, and drop 777 in the comments as your way of saying, I'm awake, I'm listening, I'm done doubting my own intuition. Your support keeps this mission of clarity alive, and whether you realize it yet or not, you are part of that mission. Breathe in, settle in, stay with me. If you truly are a chosen one, you'll feel the pull to stay until the very last word, because deep down, you already know you are not done with this person, and this person is not done with you. The real message starts now. Chosen one, before we move any deeper into this truth, take a second to realign with the very energy that brought you here. If this message is striking something real inside you, if it feels like someone finally put words to what you've silently carried, then don't just watch. Stand with the mission. Tap that like button, subscribe, and drop 777 in the comments if you can feel this connection still breathing inside you. Your engagement keeps this movement alive, helps more chosen ones awaken, and pushes us to bring even more raw, life-shifting content. Now stay locked in. We're just getting started. Number 1. Some connections are wired into your timeline, not your memory. Some connections aren't just encounters, they're earthquakes in disguise. What scares the enemy most isn't that you care, it's that you finally recognize the difference between attachment and alignment. My dear chosen ones, let's hit the enemy where it hurts, the truth. Because nothing shakes that enemy harder than when you stop labeling deep alignment as confusion and start calling it what it really is, a meaningful connection with purpose behind it. There are people you meet who fade into memory like background noise, and then there are the rare ones, the ones who feel like a plot twist, a sudden shift in air, a silent lightning strike straight into your awareness, and no matter how much time passes, their presence refuses to dissolve. That's not a glitch. That's not emotional malfunction. That's a signal that holds weight. Some of you are asking right now, if it's real, why didn't it flow smoothly? Because chosen one, nothing that rewrites your story ever comes wrapped in comfort. Easy connections are pillows. Significant connections are catalysts. When two energies collide with purpose, it doesn't feel casual. It feels like a marking moment, the kind that changes the texture of every moment after it. And yes, that alone annoys the enemy because they hoped you'd brush it off as just a phase. But tell me, if it were just a phase, why does your spirit still react like it was a chapter title? Think back, chosen one. Replay the moment you crossed paths with that person. The atmosphere didn't feel normal, did it? The energy wasn't light and forgettable. It had weight, depth, density. Maybe you felt a sudden pause inside your chest. Maybe their presence sharpened your awareness. Maybe their voice hit you in a way no one else's ever had. Maybe something in their eyes pulled you into a silent recognition that you didn't yet have words for. That wasn't coincidence. It was significance wearing camouflage. And here's where the enemy panics. They want you assuming you imagined it. They want you thinking you made it all up. Because the moment you accept that what you felt was real, you stop running from the meaning behind it. They whisper doubts, not because the connection is weak, but because the meaning is strong. The enemy doesn't attack empty doors, only the ones that lead somewhere. You're probably wondering, if it's meant, why didn't it stay easy? Chosen one, easy things don't evolve you, they maintain you. Real connections stretch you like emotional elastics. They reflect your wounds, expose your boundaries, wake asleep parts of your identity, and challenge you to expand. Strong connections don't arrive to decorate your life. They arrive to activate it. Think of two magnets. Distance can pull them apart temporarily, but the field between them continues to exist, whether they touch or not. That's energetic pull, not logical convenience. And let's drag the enemy louder. If this person didn't matter, why do you still feel the echo? Why, no matter how much time passes, does their memory feel fresh instead of archived? Why does their name still have emotional texture instead of emptiness? Why do reminders still hit with silent impact? Why does your inner world react before your mind even processes it? Answer it honestly, chosen one. That is not emotional weakness, that is energetic continuity. You're not remembering because you're stuck, you're remembering because something hasn't completed. There is a difference between being unable to move on and knowing deep inside that it's not time to close the door yet. Unfinished meaning creates inner tension, not nostalgia. It isn't about wanting something back for comfort. It's about sensing that the story hasn't shown you its purpose yet. You might be thinking right now, but what if I'm holding on to nothing? Listen closely. If it were nothing, it would feel like nothing. The body forgets quickly when something is irrelevant, but the mind, the intuition, and the emotional core do not cling to empty experiences. If something constantly reappears in your awareness without force, it's because your inner world knows there is significance still in motion. Chosen one, you feel more deeply because you're wired differently. You don't process life on surface level. You see meaning in moments others ignore. You don't dismiss intuition as imagination. You treat it as information. That is not sensitivity. That is inner intelligence. And yes, the enemy trembles at that, because awareness is the beginning of power. You did not meet that person by accident. You did not feel that shift without cause. You did not remember this long because you're weak. You remember because your internal world recognized something before your external world caught up. There are people who cross your life like scenery, and then there are the ones who feel like the plot. You already know which category this person falls into. So, when your mind whispers, "Why do I still feel this?" and "Why can't I shut this off?" the answer isn't mystery, it's alignment. Alignment is persistent, not polite. It doesn't care about timing, distance, pride, silence, or logic. Alignment keeps knocking until you understand why it entered your story. Chosen one, do not dare label this as random. Some connections are not background scenes, they are turning points in disguise, and if you ever doubt it again, remember this one truth the enemy never wanted you to realize. You don't feel deeply because you're broken. You feel deeply because the moment mattered. Number 2, when a bond has real gravity, distance can bend but never break it. The gravity of a bond that refuses to release its grip. My dear chosen ones, here's a truth that crushes the enemy every single time. The hardest bond to detach from is the one that was never meant to be forgotten, only understood. Chosen one, let's expose what the enemy hoped you would never understand. Some bonds do not fade, they do not dissolve, they do not bow down to distance, silence, pride, or logic. They orbit. They move like celestial bodies that may drift, but never detach from each other's gravitational field. And that confuses and terrifies the enemy, because nothing is more threatening than a connection that keeps returning, even when everything externally suggests it should have died. When a bond survives circumstances that would have killed ordinary relationships, it moves from emotional to energetic, from temporary to significant, from seasonal to catalytic. This is not obsession, chosen one. This is orbit, a pull rooted deeper than logic, deeper than fear, deeper than ego, deeper than time. Feel that for a moment. If this connection were shallow, if it were meaningless, if it were just a temporary emotional spark, it would have faded like every other almost, maybe or maybe not situation you've experienced. But it didn't. It stayed, even when you wanted it gone, even when it hurt, even when it made no sense. That's not weakness, that's evidence. The universe doesn't leave fingerprints on what holds no value. It doesn't stamp your spirit with memories that refuse to expire just for entertainment. It doesn't imprint someone's energy into your awareness without purpose. The bond you are wrestling with didn't just happen, it shifted something inside you. And anything that shifts you, shapes you. Chosen one, let's bring this truth into the open. You didn't meet this person and move on normally. Your energy registered them before your mind even had vocabulary for it. Something in you whispered, "This means something." And the enemy hates that you're finally questioning why, because awareness is the beginning of awakening. The enemy wanted you confused, dismissive, and numbed into believing it wasn't that deep. But if it wasn't deep, why does your spirit still respond when their name is mentioned? Why does silence feel louder than conversations with other people? Why does distance feel like unfinished business instead of closure? Why can't you detach, no matter how many times you try to convince yourself you should? Imagine two celestial bodies floating in space. They drift apart, they rotate, they experience distance, but the gravitational pull remains, invisible yet undeniable. They can travel different routes, encounter other planets, experience other forces, but their trajectory keeps bending back into each other's field, even if slowly, even if painfully, even if silently. That's you and this person. Not because of fantasy, not because of desperation, but because your energies recognized each other long before your logic caught up. Here's a quote that punches the enemy in the throat. When two paths are stitched by universal alignment, separation becomes temporary, not final. The reason this bond feels heavy, chosen one, is because it was never supposed to be light. It was meant to activate something within you, not entertain you. It was meant to awaken the parts of you that had been dormant, not pacify your comfort zone. Understand this: meaningful connections are rarely gentle. They stretch you, they reveal you, they confront you, they trigger growth, they bring you face to face with versions of yourself you didn't even know existed. This bond was not an accident, it was an initiation. And I know what you're thinking, but why does it hurt? Why does it feel confusing? Why didn't it stay simple if it mattered? Because simplicity does not build elevation. Growth is not crafted in comfort. Transformation is not painless. Diamonds are not formed through air, they are forged through pressure. You are that diamond, and this bond was part of your refining pressure, not your downfall. This person did not come into your life to decorate it. They entered to activate a shift. Maybe they mirrored your insecurities. Maybe they reflected your strengths. Maybe they exposed emotional walls, outdated habits, or subconscious wounds. Maybe they unlocked parts of your heart or mind you had hidden from the world. They showed you something about yourself that nobody else could have shown you. And that chosen one is what gives this bond gravity. Let's strike the enemy again with truth. The connection that still lives in your spirit is not a mistake, it's a message. If this bond were meaningless, it would have exited quietly. But it left residue, emotional fingerprints, intuitive echoes, because the story is not complete. Something remains unlearned, unrevealed, unspoken, or unresolved. Even in silence, something is still happening beneath the surface. And chosen one, that is why the universe refuses to let you fully detach. There is meaning still unfolding. So hear this clearly. Do not walk away from something meaningful just because it feels heavy. Heavy things transform you. Heavy things build you. Heavy things matter. This connection didn't stay because you're stuck. It stayed because it belongs to your becoming. Number 3. Invisible interference targets. What has life-changing potential? The unseen battle designed to break what was built to matter. The enemy doesn't fear how you feel. It fears what you become when you finally stop running from what's real. Chosen one, let's expose what most people never have the courage to acknowledge. When a connection carries real meaning, real growth, and real transformation potential, it doesn't fade quietly. It gets attacked from angles you never saw coming. The pressure around your bond isn't a coincidence, it isn't immaturity, and it definitely isn't just bad timing. Something deeper is happening beneath the surface, something that tries to influence you without your awareness. An unseen war between what you're meant to evolve into and what fear wants you to settle for. And you, chosen one, are caught in the middle, not because you're weak, but because something about this connection has impact written all over it, the kind of impact that scares anything built on limitation. You may have wondered, why did things suddenly feel heavy when they were finally starting to make sense? Or why did something that felt aligned suddenly become confusing? Only chosen ones notice this kind of shift. Others would call it coincidence and walk away, but not you. You feel it, you sense it. You recognize that before the disconnect arrived, there was meaning, depth, and potential. When something is powerful enough to influence your growth, life doesn't sit back quietly. Energy moves, patterns shift, interference rises, doubt slithers in. And the moment your heart begins to understand what your intuition already knows, something tries to pull the pieces apart before they fuse into something stronger. Chosen one, let's break this down in a way your mind cannot deny. Meaningful bonds don't face small challenges. They face strategic interference. You've experienced it already, sudden misunderstandings that made no logical sense, emotional shutdowns that appeared without a trigger, miscommunication happening at the exact wrong time, silence that felt unnatural, and that heavy inner pressure whispering that something bigger was happening than what words could describe. That isn't bad luck. That's disruption with intention. Nothing that carries purpose falls apart cleanly. It gets tested, shaken, and destabilized, so you start questioning whether the connection was even real in the first place. Imagine two flames burning separately. They're warm, beautiful, harmless. But bring them close enough, and they merge into something capable of burning through limitations, insecurities, and outdated versions of self. That burn is evolution. And the enemy fears evolution. So instead of attacking loudly, it chips away quietly, not with chaos, but with subtle sabotage, doubt, overthinking, misinterpretation, emotional exhaustion. Feeling like giving up is the rational decision. Feeling like detaching means moving on. Feeling like silence equals closure. That's not clarity, that's interference dressed as logic. Think of a bridge. chosen one. If someone wanted to destroy it instantly, they could blow it apart, but that would create attention, urgency, and investigation. To prevent suspicion, a smarter enemy loosens screws slowly. A small shift here, a tiny crack there, barely noticeable, until one day the structure doesn't feel safe and travelers decide to turn back on their own. That's the tactic used on bonds like yours. Not destruction, dismantling. And because you are a chosen one, let's address the questions your mind has been whispering. If it was real, why did it get so hard? If we were meant to connect, why did everything suddenly stop aligning? Why do I feel like something interfered instead of naturally ending? Because, chosen one, something did interfere. You weren't fighting the person. They weren't fighting you. You both were fighting the invisible weight that hangs over connections that hold purpose, evolution, and emotional awakening. That battle didn't start when things fell apart. It began the moment the connection became real. Here's the part that slices right through denial. If your bond meant nothing, it would have ended easily, silently, and without emotional residue. Meaningless connections don't haunt your thoughts months or years later. They don't trigger inner shifts. They don't reappear in dreams. They don't re-enter your awareness at the exact moments you promised yourself to forget. Only interrupted connections behave like that. So, my dear chosen one, don't let temporary interference trick you into permanent surrender. You weren't overreacting. You weren't too sensitive. You weren't imagining it. You felt the pressure because the connection carried power. When something can elevate you, evolve you, or reshape the direction of your journey, resistance shows up, masquerading as logic, independence, or emotional self-protection. It wants you to walk away, not because the connection is wrong, but because the transformation it holds is too strong. Let this truth settle in your spirit. Quitting something meaningful doesn't create peace. It creates unfinished echoes that follow you into every next chapter. The real war was never you versus them. It was always evolution versus interruption. Stay aware, chosen one. Stay conscious. Stay aligned. The story isn't finished. The interference just arrived early. Number 4. Only enduring minds break into the version of themselves they're meant to become. Only those who endure unlock the door, hidden behind the storm. Chosen one, let's tear the veil off this truth with no sugarcoating. The strongest bonds are never defined by how beautifully they begin, but by how fiercely they survive what was designed to break them. Anyone can feel sparks in the sunshine, but only a rare connection continues burning when the rain refuses to stop. The enemy never worries about connections that start fast. Those are easy to sabotage, easy to replace, easy to forget. The enemy fears the bond that keeps breathing after silence, confusion, misunderstandings, distance, doubt, and emotional turbulence. Why? Because anything that survives pressure is not casual. It's coded with purpose. This connection was never meant to be soft, predictable, or convenient. It wasn't built for fairy tale ease. It was built for evolution. And evolution always involves tension, friction, pressure, and the kind of emotional tests that force you to grow rather than curl back into comfort. If this bond had no meaning, chosen one, it would have dissolved gently, like every temporary person from your past. The ones whose names you barely remember, the ones whose memories don't stir your energy, the ones who left but left nothing inside you. But this one, it stayed, it pressed, it surfaced in moments you didn't expect. It pulled you into emotional territory you never planned to explore, and no matter how much time passed, there was always a part of you that still felt its presence. That alone tells you it carries significance deeper than convenience. You might wonder, why does holding on feel like such a battle? Because growth never happens in relaxation. Growth happens in endurance. The universe never wastes pressure. Pressure is the hidden training ground for those meant to rise. Pressure is proof you're being shaped, not punished. No blade becomes sharp without friction. No diamond forms without intensity. No warrior is created without battle. So why would a connection meant to transform you arrive without challenge? The answer is simple: it wouldn't. The universe uses endurance the same way fire uses heat, not to destroy, but to refine. Imagine two warriors trapped in a battlefield neither prepared for. Alone, each would fall, but standing back to back, aware of each other's presence, power, and purpose, something shifts. They become unstoppable. That's the energy this bond carries. It isn't about dependency. It's about unlocking power that only exists when two aligned forces are present. You were never meant to walk your entire journey solo, chosen one. You can be powerful alone, but there are chapters in your destiny that require connection, not isolation. The universe knew certain battles would be too heavy for one heart, so it aligned you with someone whose presence activates a deeper version of you, not to complete you, but to awaken what stayed dormant until they arrived. Here's the truth most people run from. What feels like emotional grief when you try to detach is not weakness. It's your inner world saying, "This still matters." If walking away brought peace instead of pressure, if silence felt natural instead of suffocating, if distance felt like relief instead of losing a part of yourself, you would know it was over. But it doesn't feel like that. Instead, your intuition whispers what your logic tries to silence. That's because logic looks at circumstances, but intuition reads purpose. Think of a lock and key. Separated, they're just metal objects with no meaning, but together they unlock something that neither could access alone. That is not romance. That is function, design, purpose, pairing, and activation. Some partnerships exist not to look pretty, but to open doors that both souls were never meant to open alone. You wonder why there was so much confusion, so many setbacks, so many intense moments. Chosen one, anything capable of shaping your future will always be challenged in the present. Pressure doesn't show up where nothing is being built. The enemy does not attack what is fragile, it attacks what is becoming powerful. So the next time you feel the weight, stop assuming it's a sign to give up. Sometimes weight is evidence that you are carrying something valuable. Some of the most meaningful chapters of your life begin disguised as emotional storms. Endurance is not suffering. Endurance is spiritual strength training. Endurance is how purpose proves itself real. If you walk away now, you won't just lose a person. You may walk away from the very transformation that connection was meant to unlock inside you. Stay aware, chosen one. Stay grounded, stay aligned. The pressure is not here to crush you. It's here to prepare you for the version of yourself that only destiny-level connections can unlock. Number 5. Pressure arrives right before your reality shifts into its next level. Pressure always hits right before the shift breaks through. Pressure isn't proof that you're breaking, it's proof that something inside you is waking. Chosen one, listen closely because this is one of the most misunderstood phases in the journey of alignment, purpose, and connection. Pressure has a pattern, and it never shows up in the life of someone who is irrelevant or disconnected from meaning. It doesn't waste itself on those who walk empty paths or relationships with no purpose attached. Pressure appears only when something valuable is forming, when something powerful is aligning, or when someone is extremely close to a breakthrough that could change their direction forever. If you could see how close you really are, you'd stop calling what you're facing a breakdown. You'd recognize it as preparation, positioning, and proof the enemy isn't attacking you because you're weak. They're attacking because they're threatened by what and who you're connected to. Let's pull the curtain back. If that connection you're thinking about was meaningless, everything around it would stay calm, quiet, forgettable, and easy to release. There would be no emotional weight, no mental pull, no energetic aftershock, and no internal questioning. But that's not your experience, is it? The slightest reminder hits your chest. Silence feels loud. Distance feels unnatural. Even attempts to move on don't fully settle, and you can't convince your intuition to shut up. So, chosen one, ask yourself, if it was nothing, why does everything shake when it comes to them? Why does your emotional system react like it's getting ready for impact rather than closure? Why does every attempt to detach feel like trying to rip out a thread that's woven into your future chapters? That's not coincidence, that's alignment disguised as tension. Pressure isn't punishment, it's preparation. Think of a rocket moments before it launches. The ground vibrates, tension rises, metal clamps tighten, and everything looks unstable, as if it might collapse. But that chaos is not failure, it's momentum, it's the friction needed to lift something massive into a different atmosphere. And chosen one, that's exactly where you're standing. You're not at the end, you're at the ignition. Emotions feel heavy because something meaningful is expanding internally, even if you can't see the visible progress yet. Confusion, anxiety, silence, distance, and inner pull. All of it is the build-up before the shift. The enemy knows you're close, which is exactly why resistance just got louder. Here's what most people never understand. Emotional pressure is usually the loudest when something matters the most. Something that doesn't matter fades without effort. But something that does matter demands acknowledgement, growth, and clarity. That's why you can't ignore this bond, no matter how hard you try. The pain, the questions, the heaviness, and the unfinished feeling are not signs of weakness. They are indicators of significance. Whether this person returns or simply plays a transformational role, there is meaning attached, and pressure is revealing it. The enemy hopes you'll misinterpret the storm and walk away thinking, if it was meant, it wouldn't be this hard. But chosen one, the truth is the opposite. If it was meaningless, it wouldn't be this intense. Think about a seed buried underground. The seed is surrounded by darkness, weight, and pressure. It isn't given comfort, clarity, or sunlight. It isn't praised for its potential. It isn't congratulated until it breaks through the soil. And that breakthrough only becomes possible because of the pressure that surrounded it. Without being pressed, it could not expand. Without resistance, it could not rise. Without discomfort, it would never grow roots strong enough to withstand life above the surface. You, chosen one, are that seed, and this connection is part of the soil that's shaping you. You're not losing your grip, you're evolving, you're not collapsing, you're expanding. The heaviness you feel is not a sign that you should run, detach, or declare it over. It is the universe signaling that something in this bond is still forming, still aligning, or still preparing for its next phase, whether that phase is reunion, lesson, healing, or clarity. The closer you get to breakthrough, the louder resistance becomes. The enemy doesn't throw storms at empty futures, only at those capable of impact. So, chosen one, do not misread this moment. The pressure around this connection isn't here to push you away, it's here to equip you. You are not failing, you're forming. Number 6. Walking away too soon is the fastest path to a lifetime of what if. The moment you quit is the moment the story was about to change. Chosen one, listen closely, because this is one of the most painful truths most people never realize until it's too late. Your story isn't stolen with force. It's stolen through premature exits. The enemy doesn't need to break you, defeat you, or destroy you. All they need is to convince you to walk away 5 minutes before everything was finally going to make sense. Most souls never lose because they weren't capable. They lose because they were exhausted at the exact moment life was making room for the breakthrough. This is where legends separate from the ordinary, not in talent, not in luck, but in endurance. Your turning point is never obvious while you're living it. It always hides behind pressure, silence, confusion, and the illusion of nothing happening. Right now, chosen one, your mind may be whispering all the reasons walking away would be easier. Your thoughts may sound rational, organized, protective, even wise, but logic is not always aligned with truth. Logic reacts to what you see. Alignment reacts to what is unfolding. And what is unfolding is rarely visible in the beginning. Silence is not rejection. Sometimes silence is the sacred space where both hearts are recalibrating. Delay is not denial. Timing requires maturity, emotional clarity, and internal readiness. Discomfort is not a signal to retreat. Discomfort is the furnace where growth reshapes you into someone capable of receiving the very thing you asked for. Do not misinterpret the waiting room as wasted time. Ask yourself something brutally honest. Would letting go genuinely bring peace, or would it simply offer a momentary escape, a fake sense of closure, a temporary breath that eventually turns into long-term regret? So many chosen souls stop because they want the pain to end immediately, not realizing that breakthroughs don't come in comfort, they come in endurance. Imagine planting a seed and returning every day to check if it sprouted. To your eyes, it looks like nothing is happening. No sprout, no leaf, no change, no results. If you didn't understand nature, you'd assume failure. But beneath the surface, the seed is waging war, breaking, stretching, rooting, forming a foundation strong enough to hold its future. That is your connection. Unseen, but alive. Quiet, but evolving. Hidden, but active. Invisible does not mean inactive. Chosen one, the most powerful transformations don't announce themselves. They build slowly, silently, underneath perception. That is why the enemy's greatest strategy is not chaos. It's whispering, you're wasting your time. They don't need to block the result. They just need to make you stop before the result arrives. Imagine a miner digging through stone for years. He's exhausted, dirty, bruised, and discouraged. He swings his tool one last time, sees no change, and gives up. What he doesn't know is that gold was only 3 inches beyond the last strike. If he had continued for just 1 more minute, his entire reality would have flipped. That image represents millions of broken timelines. You might worry, what if holding on makes me look foolish? Chosen one, looking foolish for having faith, is temporary. But looking back years later, realizing you abandoned what was meant for you, is eternal regret. Never screams. It whispers in echoes, and those whispers are far louder than any embarrassment you fear right now. The enemy hates endurance because endurance is where transformation hides. Patience is not passive, it is an active weapon. It is choosing to trust the unseen over temporary emotions. It is choosing to stay aligned rather than escape discomfort. It is choosing to protect what still holds meaning, even when results are not visible. You are not in danger of failing. Failure is part of growth. The real danger lies in quitting right before alignment locks into place. And right now, you are closer than you think. You are not holding on because you're weak. You're holding on because something in you knows there is more to this story. Quiet seasons do not represent endings. They represent construction zones. Alignment happens through pause, not panic. And the quiet moments, the ones where nothing makes sense, are often the exact moments when everything behind the scenes is being rearranged in your favor. Chosen one, this is not the chapter where you run. This is the chapter where you breathe, reset, and stand grounded. The enemy wants you to surrender the story before it reaches the revelation. But you did not come this far just to watch your destiny close itself without your presence. Do not abort what is still developing. Do not mislabel silence as abandonment. Do not allow temporary discomfort to destroy long-term alignment. The most dangerous decision is not holding on, it's letting go too early and calling it wisdom. Stay aligned, chosen one. Your shift is closer than it appears. Number 7. Emotional reacting destroys what strategic awareness could have saved. When emotion becomes the weapon, strategy becomes the shield. The enemy doesn't need to defeat a chosen one by strength, only by triggering the reaction that makes them self-destruct. My dear chosen ones, this is where the battle gets real. Not the kind fought with fists, arguments, or long emotional speeches, but the kind fought inside your own mind, where your reactions can either protect what matters or shatter it beyond repair. The enemy knows this very well. That's why they don't come after your physical world first. They attack your emotional stability, because if they can get you to react impulsively, they can get you to sabotage the very connection that was meant to elevate you. They don't fear your love, your loyalty, or your intelligence. They fear your emotional discipline, because once a chosen one learns how to control their emotional responses instead of being controlled by them, the entire battlefield flips instantly. You're likely wondering, if I'm not reacting, does that mean I'm weak? Does silence mean I don't care? Does patience mean I'm letting someone walk all over me? Absolutely not. Chosen one, control is not weakness, it is mastery. Silence is not surrender, it is strategy. Patience is not passiveness, it is precision. This chapter of your journey is not asking you to stop feeling, it's asking you to stop letting feelings drive the car while logic and alignment sit in the trunk. Emotional reactions come fast, loud, and chaotic, but alignment moves slowly, quietly, and accurately. Imagine you and that person are standing on a cracked bridge. Tension exists, misunderstandings exist, wounds exist. The bridge is fragile, unsteady, and carrying weight it wasn't prepared for. If you jump, stomp, yell, or pull suddenly, the bridge collapses. Not because it was doomed, but because it was shaken during its most delicate phase. That's exactly what emotional reactions do. They worsen what needed gentle handling. Words spoken from triggered emotions are like swinging swords blindfolded. Even if you didn't mean to destroy, damage becomes almost unavoidable. Chosen one, think like a strategist, not a reactor. Consider a chess master. They don't panic when a piece disappears. They don't flip the board when pressure hits. They don't chase every move emotionally. They think 3 steps ahead, understanding that the game is not won through impulse, but through intention. That is how you must protect a connection that still holds meaning. No more reacting out of fear. No more jumping to conclusions. No more assuming the worst because silence entered the room. No more letting temporary emotions cause permanent consequences. And let's make this brutally clear. Silence does not mean abandonment. Distance does not mean disconnection. Space does not mean rejection. Sometimes silence is the protective cover that prevents deeper damage. Sometimes space is the oxygen that stops the fire from burning everything down. Sometimes pausing communication is not the end. It is the reset button no one wanted to press, but everyone needed. Healing rarely happens while voices are raised, defenses are active, and emotions are overflowing. Alignment requires clarity, and clarity cannot be found in noise. Chosen one, emotional maturity is the turning point between losing something meaningful and building something unshakable. When you choose to respond from grounded awareness instead of emotional storms, you are not avoiding the issue, you are protecting the outcome. You are proving that you are not here to win arguments, you are here to win alignment. You are not here to prove a point, you are here to preserve purpose. And I know your heart whispers, but what if they think I don't care? Chosen one, real connections don't read silence as abandonment. They feel your energy even when they cannot hear your voice. If a bond is real, it speaks beneath words. It communicates without explanation. It survives what surface-level bonds cannot endure. Remember this: loud reactions create distance, but calm clarity builds bridges that emotions once tried to burn. Every time you breathe instead of break, think instead of react, pause instead of explode, reflect instead of accuse, you take power back into your hands. The enemy loses ground the moment you stop being predictable. Emotional chaos is their trap, but emotional intelligence is your escape. You are not fighting against them. You are fighting for what matters. And chosen one, the victory belongs to the one who stayed aligned even while the storm tried to pull them out of character. This is not about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them so you don't lose something priceless over a temporary emotional wave. This chapter demands strength, not aggression strategy, not impulse. Awareness, not reaction. Because chosen one, if the connection still holds meaning, you don't win by yelling. You win by understanding. You don't win by proving you're right. You win by protecting what's real. This is how you rise. Number 8. What looks like an ending is often a silent phase of transformation. What feels like the end is often the quiet before the revolution. Nothing confuses the enemy more than a chosen one who refuses to mistake silence for defeat. My dear chosen one, lean in. This part is going to hit you differently. What you're facing right now, the pause, the distance, the quiet, the confusion, it is not the ending your mind keeps fearing. It only feels like an ending because you can't yet see what's being rearranged behind the scenes. The enemy celebrates early because they assume that when you stop moving, you're done. But chosen ones don't end in silence. They evolve in silence. And anyone watching your journey through surface-level eyes will completely misread what's happening. Chosen one, allow yourself a breath, not to escape what you're feeling, but to separate truth from emotional fog. When something that once felt aligned suddenly slows down, shifts, breaks apart, or goes quiet, your first instinct might be to label it as loss. But chosen ones don't operate by appearance, they operate by internal knowing. What looks chaotic is often the beginning of clarity. What feels like collapse is usually the cracking of an old shell that can no longer support where you're heading. You are not being punished. Your path is being recalibrated. You have to understand, when something or someone matters to your deeper timeline, the universe won't allow it to continue in its old form forever. The old version must dissolve before the upgraded version can land. That dissolution phase feels like heartbreak, confusion, detachment, or emotional pressure, but it's actually preparation. Think about it. Every transformation in nature begins with a breakdown. The seed splits before it grows. The waves crash before the tide shifts. The storm roars before the air clears. So why would your journey be any different? The enemy wants you to believe that quiet equals dead. They want you thinking the distance is a permanent exit instead of a necessary timeout. They want you convinced that what your intuition felt so deeply was actually an illusion. But chosen one, if it were an illusion, it wouldn't still echo inside you with this level of intensity. If it were over, the feelings would have dried up, not resurfaced. And if it were meaningless, it wouldn't still push itself into your awareness at the most unpredictable moments. Meaning doesn't disappear. It waits. Think of the caterpillar in its cocoon, not glamorous, not graceful, not visible. From the outside, you'd swear it's over. Stillness always looks like death to the untrained eye. But on the inside, everything is dissolving, reforming, reconstructing into something that can fly. That is not death. That is metamorphosis. And right now, your connection, your heart, your understanding, and your next chapter are in a cocoon state. The silence isn't a goodbye. It's the reconstruction process that no one can witness, but everyone will eventually see the results of. You might ask, then why does it hurt so much? Why does it feel like losing when it's supposed to be preparing me? Because, chosen one, evolution always feels like breaking before it feels like becoming. Pressure is not cruelty. It's transformation's language. You're not crying because it's over. You're crying because something inside you knows it isn't. Your tears are not evidence of failure. They are evidence of investment. People only ache where meaning still lives. Don't forget, people with purpose don't get lightweight lessons. They get forged, stretched, and sharpened, and the connections tied to their growth go through the same refinement. What you're experiencing is not abandonment. It's alignment being rearranged so the next chapter doesn't collapse under old patterns. Imagine reading a book and pausing right before the twist. You'd feel anxious, confused, impatient. Not because the story ended, but because the page hasn't been turned yet. Chosen one, listen closely. No real alignment ends without closure, clarity, completion, or transformation. If the story were done, it would feel finished, not suspended. The fact that it still lives in your thoughts, your dreams, your intuition, your emotional reactions, that alone tells you something is still in motion. The universe is not done, it is repositioning. And repositioning always feels like slow motion, not certainty. The enemy doesn't fear endings, they fear comebacks, they fear clarity. They fear the moment you discover that the silence was not a burial, but a reset. They fear that the pause is the exact thing that will make you return stronger, clearer, wiser, and more aligned. They fear the moment when you realize you weren't losing anything, you were being upgraded so that when it returns, it can actually hold weight. So, chosen one, stand firm. Do not let temporary silence fool you into permanent surrender. What is aligned with you will not fade. It will evolve, and you are nowhere near your final chapter. Number 9. Your inner compass doesn't lock onto someone without a deeper reason. When something keeps pulling you back, it's because the story isn't finished. Enemies panic the moment they realize that no matter how many distractions, delays, doubts, or detours get thrown your way, the connection still refuses to die. That's when they know they're no longer fighting your emotions. They're fighting alignment. Because, chosen one, whether you admit it out loud or try to silence it internally, the pull you feel toward this person is not random, accidental, or delusional. If the universe wanted this bond erased, it would have dissolved without resistance. You wouldn't still feel their energy at 2 a.m. when everything is quiet and your guard is down. Their name wouldn't pop into your mind when you least expect it. Their memory wouldn't replay in your thoughts like an unfinished scene. The feeling wouldn't remain as vivid now as it was the first moment you felt it. Temporary people fade like background noise, but this one didn't. That alone should speak louder than fear. You are not broken because you still care. You are not weak because you still feel. You are not stuck because you still think. You are aligned because something in this connection still holds meaning that has not yet been revealed. The universe doesn't keep someone in your awareness for entertainment. It does it for alignment, growth, awakening, preparation, or completion. If this person had no purpose in your story, they would have exited your emotional system effortlessly. But they didn't. And that's your first undeniable proof that this connection is tied to something larger than the moment you met. Imagine a compass. It doesn't move without direction, and it doesn't lock in place unless it identifies true north. Many people come into your life, and your internal compass barely flickers. But with this person, it didn't just move. It shifted, snapped, and pointed with a clarity you couldn't ignore. No matter how far you drift, no matter how many attempts you make to distract yourself or move forward, your internal compass still reacts when their energy is near. even if you're not speaking, even if you're silent, even if you're miles apart. Energy is the only language that cannot lie. Logic can argue, ego can deny, feelings can fluctuate. But energy recognizes energy the same way gravity recognizes mass, without permission. Ask yourself this with full honesty. If this connection was meaningless, then why do signs still appear? Why do songs hit differently? Why do dreams show up uninvited? Why do memories return sharper than photographs? Why can you sense their emotional shifts without hearing their voice? Why, even after distance or silence, does a simple reminder feel like a door reopening inside your chest? Chosen one, when something keeps coming back without you chasing it, it isn't obsession, it's information. It's not about going backward, it's about not abandoning something that still has purpose. Here's a brutal truth most people never face. Your mind tries to forget, but your spirit refuses. Your logic tries to close the chapter, but your intuition keeps rereading the paragraph. The enemy whispers, "It's over," but your energy responds, "Not like this." When a connection holds purpose, it doesn't vanish. It waits, it pauses, it transitions, it transforms, but it does not disappear until the purpose has been fulfilled. The reason you feel uncomfortable at the thought of truly letting go is because you are trying to cut a thread that is woven into your future. Imagine a delicate tapestry. Pull one loose thread, and the entire design begins to shift, distort, or collapse. That's what this connection is, not a random strand, but a structural thread within your timeline. You are not struggling because you're attached. You're struggling because you instinctively know that tearing away now would create emotional and energetic damage you would feel later as regret. Don't misunderstand. The universe is not asking you to chase, beg, cling, or lose yourself. It's asking you to pay attention, to honor the pull instead of running from it, to understand its meaning rather than dismiss it. Silence doesn't equal ending. Distance doesn't equal failure. Time doesn't equal disconnection. Some connections exist beyond typical rules, and chosen ones are wired to feel the truth behind them. The universe doesn't repeat signals unless they matter. When something is truly finished, it dissolves naturally, peacefully, quietly, and with emotional closure. But when something keeps resurfacing, especially during your most authentic moments, it's because the story is still breathing. The pull is not punishment, it's guidance. Ignoring it won't protect you. It will only postpone what you were meant to face, learn, heal, or complete. So, chosen one, hear this clearly. You are not being pulled backward, you are being pulled deeper. Don't walk away simply because the path got uncomfortable. Don't misinterpret tension as rejection. Don't let silence convince you the connection failed. The universe never pulls you towards someone without reason, and it never lets you walk away until the purpose attached to that connection has been fully realized. The pull is your proof, and your soul recognizes what your mind is still trying to decipher. And chosen one, as we reach this final moment, let everything you've just heard settle into the deepest part of your awareness. You weren't drawn to this message for entertainment. You were guided here for clarity, confirmation, and courage. So if this spoke to your spirit, don't just disappear silently. Show your alignment and support this journey by liking this video, subscribing to stay connected, and dropping 77 in the comments to confirm you're awake and paying attention. And if you know someone who needs this same clarity, share it forward. Chosen ones don't gatekeep alignment, they spread it.